Johnny, before we get to Max, very quickly, you have some statistics.
Yeah, Boston Herald numbers. Celtics are 2-16 all-time in best-of-7 series after being down 2-0. The only two wins that Isaiah Thomas' 2017 team, first round against Chicago, that team, they won 4 straight to win in 6 games, and Bill Russell's last game, 69 finals against the Lakers.
Oh.
NBA-wide, teams up 2-0 in a best-of-7 have gone on to win 92% of series.
And that factors in the 2020 season, which should not be factored in. Cedric Maxwell, thank you for joining us, sir.
All right. Thank you for having me on. The first, I start out by saying my brother-in-law, Dane Sparrow, said the Celtics suck right now. So I've been arguing with people back and forth all day, and my phone blew up from the beginning of last night as soon as the game ended until this morning. But I'm prepared right now. I even went out and got stats like Johnny Wallach.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Well, Celtic or Knicks fans can be very, very annoying. There's no question.
Oh my God. They were, I thought I hated Laker fans, but they have nothing over Knicks fans. Knicks fans were chanting, dude, let it happen first before you start going off the deep end. You know, you hear that with the Yankees, but the Knicks have been so bad during the times that I played that I didn't get a firsthand experience of this true Knick culture. Now, John Wallach, here's one of those questions I'll pose to you.
Okay.
Kevin McHale is one of the greatest post-up players of all time, right?
Yep.
How many points do you think he averaged in 1981?
The way you're setting
in the championship series against Houston Rockets.
The way you're setting this up, I'm thinking not a lot. Say 12, 13?
Try 4, John Wallach.
Okay.
4.
And how many did you average in the 81?
That would be 7, nearly 18.
All right, and you were the MVP of that.
And my point would be the fact that the others sometimes have to step up. Larry Bird wasn't particularly good in that series, and again, I don't hate Larry for some of these yahoos. You're jealous of Larry. No, I'm not. Larry's one of my best teammates. But let me give you facts. Larry Bird shot 41% from the field that year. Now, what he did, like Jason Tatum did last night, Larry Bird averaged 15 rebounds a game during that particular series. Tatum rebounded his behind off last night, but the others have to step up. Jaylen Brown started to step up in that game, but what negated that? 6 turnovers in the game. Mm-hmm. So I'm just throwing these facts out, John Wallach, before you start throwing all these other facts out.
Okay. All right. So you're making the argument that as bad as Tatum played, that great teams have to pick up the slack if their star players off, and that it's happened in the past.
Oh man, you're reading my book right now. Thank you. That's why I knew you're the best in the business.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say.
Well,
there's no question. My ability to see in the margins, to cut through the crap.
That's any man who's had an ex-wife, we see between the margins.
Well, you got to keep referring to the same document over and over again, twice a month.
True about that.
I always forget, and there's math that needs to be done because there's expensives that come out of it, but there is that is the case. All right. So let's start with the end of the game. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's start with the second to the last Celtics possession. Tatum gets.
Let's not start there.
Okay.
Let's start when everything started to go to the poop house. Okay. Let's start when we start talking about Josh Hart had 23 or 21 points in that game.
23.
Josh Hart, they let him take shots and he dominated in the paint. OG Anunoby didn't play well. They got production from Cat, and then you look at what happened. Al Horford went 0 for 5, and I think Tatum was whatever he was. And between the two of them, they made 1 3-pointer. He had a bunch of threes. And then the flow of that game, here's one of the critical things that people won't talk about. We'll get to the end. But in the flow of that game, Peyton Pritchard, who's been so good this year, took some crazy half-court shot for no reason. It's like you're talking about momentum breakers. Those were things that happened in the game that the Celtics needed to adjust to, and they didn't do it.
Well, they got tight, right? Like, I mean, as a former player, it just seemed as a team they started pressing on offense. I mean, you don't go 0 for 13 in a 21-2 run, which the Knicks had. I mean, all you have to do, Cedric, I mean, and it sounds simple, but all you have to do is like get a basket, right? Like you don't even have to stop them. You just have to get a basket. So to go 0 for 13 is almost
really hard to do.
It's like hard to do.
It would have been as if Stevie Wonder was shooting out there.
Right.
I think he would have made 1 or 2. He would have knocked something down. But it was just, it was unbelievable to sit there and watch it over and over again. Some great shooters. Derek White was wide open. Tatum had a shot in the corner. Nobody was near him. He missed it. Al Horford had a shot. Everybody had to look at it. Brown came off. He had a shot wide open from the three-point line. So everything that could go wrong did go wrong for the Celtics. And you still build a 20-point lead. That's why I'm excited about the possibility of them going down to Madison Square Garden and shedding everybody up and shedding John Wallach's stats and tell him to shove those stats where the sun doesn't shine.
Nice.
Yeah,
I would like that.
I didn't say they couldn't win, Max. I said the odds were against them.
I didn't say you said, John, did I say they couldn't win? I didn't say you said that.
Okay.
I said take those stats and do what?
Shove them.
Thank you.
Put him in his rectum.
That's right.
Right. If there's room,
Do you think?
Lord knows what he's putting up there.
Well, I do want to get to the end of the game, but
Go ahead, John. John,
related to that.
Real quick, we were talking about how many open shots they missed, Max. Do you think there's something to the yips? Do you think that they are pressing? Do you think this is a team-wide, oh, my God, we've missed all these threes, I shouldn't take another one? Does that creep into your psyche in a game like that?
I think early in the game it did. I think that one of the first plays of the game, Jason Tatum was at the three-point line. It was early in the game, and he was wide open from the top of the key, and he didn't take the shot, and he threw it to Drew Holiday. Drew was
and
so
he didn't know. Yeah.
You're like, whoa, wait, what are you doing?
Right.
So there were times when you saw a team that was, they had the nerves were going. The best thing about getting away from Boston, the nerves don't go. And here's the best thing about the series right now. Nobody is saying you're going to win it. So you have no pressure. All the pressure right now is on the New York Knicks. If you're the Boston Celtics, this is what you say. You're still the defending champs. And you go out and you play like the champs, and I think everything will be okay.
Okay. Last basket that the Celtics made last night was the Jason Tatum end-to-end dunk at the end. Do you think the Knicks in any way allowed him, once they saw him going downhill and had a shot at the basket, they just kind of let him through?
No, they didn't let him through. I think it was a great play set up by Joe Mazzulla, a top pick, and then you had Tatum on the run. And that's one of the things that didn't happen. In that last play, Tatum was trying to beat his man, then trying to beat another man, and nobody was involved in that play. And you were basically saying, Jason Tatum, go win the game for us, when you have to involve the others. And I think you would have a better opportunity if you'd move the basketball around, attacked in the paint, and then kick it out to a three-point shooter if that's what you wanted to do. He went from right, I think he went from left to right, and then went back to his left, to his weakest hand, going away from the rim. Almost impossible shot to get off.
Well, that was the final play, and my next question, Max, was going to be, number one, Mazzulla not calling the timeout. I want to get your thoughts on that. But Mazzulla said in the postgame it had worked the play before when Tatum kept the ball and went in for the dunk, so they were just going to try that again. Do you think that was foolish?
I think sometimes what happens is that if you're the Celtics at the end of the game and you have another team, the Knicks score, and you say they don't call a timeout, sometimes you don't call a timeout because you don't allow the opposition to bring in other personnel who might be better defensively. So you were playing the odds that you could attack a guy like Brunson. One thing they didn't do to me, they didn't attack Brunson enough in that game.
Well, they did, but Max, they did. Thibodeau was able to make a defensive switch after the first free throw. So, so he was able to bring Robinson in for Towns. He kept Brunson on the court. I mean, he had an opportunity to take him out. So, I mean, he did make a substitution there.
Yeah, you're right. I stand corrected. He did make a substitution, but sometimes when you're going on the fly, you just want to go and attack a team.
Right. Okay.
And you don't want them to set up any other things defensively. They start looking at plays, they start going over things. Now is, can you execute enough to get a good shot off?
But how about the notion that they were just going to run the same play that had worked on the play before?
Well, they couldn't run the same play because the same play last time was from pretty much out of bounds, inbounding the ball and getting Tatum on the fly, coming towards the rim. So that wasn't the one that was going to work. I think, again, I look at the play. I did not like the play because you didn't involve other people in the pick and roll situation. That's what I didn't like. There were several times when the Celtics had an opportunity. The one coaching thing I'd ask Joe Mazzulla would be this. You fouled Robinson at one point in that game. And then you had another time to foul him while they were in the penalty, and you didn't. And Josh Hart knocked down a three. There were several things that, from everybody's standpoint, that you had to look and you had to really question what went on in that game. And again, you had to, this is what is crazy about it. You had to really play, you really had to really be bad to let the Knicks get back in that game the way you were playing. You played very smart, and then all of a sudden your thinking cap wasn't on anymore.
Right. And so Porzingis made the point that you did after the game. He thinks that going back to New York, you already said this, the pressures on the Knicks as a guy who's played in the playoffs, that's a real thing. Like that crowd and everything that can have the adverse effect, the reverse effect.
They've been let down so much. It is like the ex-husband. You like when John. You remember this would be between the gentleman and I. He'll say, "Remember when you used to ask your wife, hey babe, am I gonna get lucky tonight when things really going bad in your life?" And she's like, "Good luck with that one." Yeah. So I think that's what you look at the Knicks. The Knicks have been shunned so many times in Madison Square Garden. If you can get them on their back, on their hind legs, I think that you can get an opportunity to go down there and steal a couple of games, not one, a couple of games. Again, no pressures on you because the national narrative all day is going to be this. The Boston Celtics did what they did. They sucked. They were horrible. Like Dane Sparrow said, they were absolutely horrible. I'm telling you right now, he called me at 7:30 this morning. They suck. I'm telling you, they suck. I'm like, Jesus, you Bostonians. Let the game play. They'll be okay, and let us see what happens in the next game. Or this. I'm 2 games away from being on vacation.
Right.
There you go.
But then you can turn the phone off.
Somewhere tropical.
Absolutely. And Sean Grandy said, look, I know you and I have been getting interviews all week about stuff. I said, no, I haven't. He said, what? I said, because I turned my phone off. I don't, but your interviews, the only interviews I do is your interview, but I am going on with Dan Patrick at 10 o'clock today. Oh. And, he has this thing for, he gets on me a lot of times about almost if I'm jealous of Larry Bird. So I got these stats that I'm going to throw at him just like I did to you guys today.
Is he paying you?
We'll get him.
Paying me no mind. How about that?
All right. Yeah. I mean, because I don't even know how you consume the Dan Patrick show anymore. So you come back at him and go, I'm more relevant than you son of a bitch. What do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
It is, this is a wonderful time of the year. Everybody's calling. The Mad Dog show is called. Everybody's calling. And when you're starting to go downhill, like the Titanic, when you're starting to do that, the Hindenburg, people are going to call you and they want my opinion just because they're like, oh my God, what is going to happen? Just get out and play the game. I've been down before in many situations. Get out and play. Just play the game and let everything fall where it be.
Well, I'll tell you, there's the Knicks fans are cicadas. They hibernate and then they come out and they're so annoying. And everyone in national media is a Knicks fan. And it's always aggravating, even if the Celtics aren't involved.
But here's the thing about it. They deserved it. They deserved the gloat last night. Over the last 2 games, the Knicks fans, when you hear Stephen A. Smith, holler at your boy. I'm like, Jesus Christ. What is going on?
You're not on the team. Relax.
So they're on the bandwagon. They're on the bandwagon now, but we've seen that bandwagon get destroyed so many times, especially when it comes to NBA basketball.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, I don't know if it's possible for the Celtics to play as poorly as they did in the fourth quarter again. We've talked about it. I mean, it's almost inconceivable that you can't make a basket. One basket.
Yeah.
You just stem the tide. You don't have to stop them.
With the talent out there, it's inexcusable.
Yeah, you don't even have to stop them. Let them score, but you just need one basket at that point.
You are right. And the thing about it, you had so many open looks.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part about it. You had open look after open looks. You couldn't knock them down. Deuce McBride knocking them down. Josh Hart, who's not a three-point shooter, knocking it down. Probably the biggest thing that happened was I think you see all those other guys who hadn't scored for him start to come to life and start to gain confidence in that game. So I think that's one of the problems you looked at that game. But look, that's why they play the game, and that's why you're going down to New York. You're down 0-2, and you're gonna. This is the time to have the big ones right now. You got to check your underwear just to see if you got them down. That's what the Celtics need to do.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.